So I want to give you a couple more strategies in terms of interviewing, things that may be helpful to you while you're in there, duking it out. In a job interview, the best indicator of future performance is past experience. So the best way to answer a lot of questions is through success stories that you have. So I want you to start writing down some of the success stories that you've had in past careers and past jobs so that you have a whole list of them, and it'll help keep them fresh in mind. What I don't want you to do is say, tell me about a time that you did this, and you remember the perfect time when you're in the car 10 minutes after the interview. That's not going to help, right? Okay, so I want you to write them down now, all right, and keep these fresh in your mind in your journal. This will be a great little journaling exercise for you as well. Capture these stories. Now, I also want to make sure that you keep your answers as short and concise as possible. Get in, answer the question as best you can, and stop talking. There are far too many people who ramble on, hoping they accidentally stumble across the right answer because and they end up sounding confused and disorganized. Sometimes they even forget what the question was. I'll say so. And now you might also say, is there anything else you want me to talk about? So you answer a question and say, would you like me to expand on that? A lot of times I say, nope. Okay, great. You don't have to go on any farther. I talked for 30 seconds on it. They don't want me to talk anymore. They told me. If on the other hand, I told them a little short version of this, they said, well, go on, expand on that. Then they gave you permission to keep talking, but ask them, is it okay? Do you want me to go on to more of these? Okay, but as a general, keep these things short and concise. Now, another acrostic this is just one that I've used, and there's a number of different types of mnemonics that people can use to remember things in your interview, which is really great. And you basically take the list of things and you turn it into a little word that's a memory aid. This is a good thing my father taught me, and it was an acronym that he used called PEPPER. And it stands for professional, energetic, personable, positive, educatable, and reliable. And so how this is helpful, you memorize just these 6 different words, and then when it can be used for a number of different types of interview questions that you go through. So for instance, I bet I've used this ever since I learned it, for the last 30 years probably, in every interview I've ever done. And it's so good. So for instance, a manager might ask, well, tell me about what you look for in hiring a customer service person. And I might say, well, I look for somebody who's positive, energetic, and reliable. Done. Now I might expand on positive and why, energetic and why, reliable and why, but then I stop. It ends up being a really quick, short statement, and it shows that I've thought this stuff through. Now, later in the interview, they might say, well, tell me 3 traits that are positive about yourself. Well, I'm personable. I like people. I'm always positive. I look for good answers to questions, and I'm educatable. I'm always learning, and I'm quick to learn things, and that's it. I provided a really short, concise answer to that, and it all came from this little acrostic that we made up called, PEPPER. So remember PEPPER. Another strategy that I want to get to as well is that it's okay to ask an interview to repeat the question. This can be a really good way to give you a little more time. Sometimes you just need a few more seconds to think of the best answer. So instead of, if you're stuck on a question, say, can you repeat that? I didn't quite understand it. Or can you rephrase that? That could be even better, because a lot of people will never ask that question. And when they give you another insight on the question and say, well, why we're asking this is this reason, you have a better answer to it because you know what the background story is. Now, the other people who just answered the question and didn't ask for any more details on, they didn't know that, their answer isn't going to be as complete or as specific to that. So that's a really great thing. One other piece that I want you to be aware of is that if you're stuck on a question, it's sometimes okay to joke around and say, I'm just curious, how do other people answer that question? Because I don't really know. You make it kind of funny, make it light, and say, I'm not sure how to answer that, and I'm curious what other people do. Well, if they tell you, that's a beautiful thing, and they might let you off the hook because you just were honest about it. So now most managers, they don't expect perfect answers, and as we mentioned, interviewing is not a perfect art for finding this either. So do the best you can, get into the questions, answer them quickly, and get out. Now, one other thing that comes to mind for me is Seth Godin has said that uh, the only person who's going to get hired to work for me is somebody who's already worked for me. Meaning, you start as an intern, let's try you out and see if it works out either way. That's really the best way to get a job. So if you have any opportunity to do some volunteering, jump in and do some of that work, some of that kind of work as an intern or something like that, that might be a good way to get your foot in the door as well. It's real common. The last company I worked for, lots of people started as interns, and they worked their way up from there, and they got good jobs because they were able to go after those jobs that are in the hidden job market that nobody on the outside knew about. So that can be very effective as well.